Hi everyone, this is Amala Reddy, Executive Editor of Commercial Integrator, and I'm delighted to be joined by Cameron Javdani of AtlasIED as part of our Emergency Communications Deep Dive featured in the January-February edition of CI plus SSI, as well as on commercialintegrator.com as part of our Deep Dive Spotlight. Welcome, Cameron. So nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Good to be with you.
Absolutely. So let's begin. Can you talk a little bit about your title and role at the company?
Sure. My title at AtlasIED is Vice President of Market Development for Security Solutions. That's a mouthful, but the role I'm here to play is to grow the adoption, the use, the implementation of AtlasIED solutions within the traditional security channels within the security market. For 91 years, AtlasIED has been manufacturing speaker systems, all kinds of audio systems for both the pro AV, the commercial AV market, for musicians, really anything that has sound involved with it. AtlasIED has a role in. And now we're looking at opportunities within the traditional security channel. My background is 15 years as an audio manufacturer in security. So it's a perfect fit. I joined AtlasIED in Q4 of last year, and we've been off to the races since then.
Amazing. And I love how you talked about AtlasIED being a very prominent manufacturer in the audio industry and now in the security space. So speaking of the security space, can you talk a bit about the importance of audio, especially for emergency communications?
Absolutely. If you look at security systems historically, they're driven by video cameras, right? And so when you look at a system that's designed entirely with cameras or maybe with access control systems in it, those types of video systems enable monitoring. They enable evidence collection during an emergency, but they don't enable communication. And so if you have an emergency, your cameras can pick it up, but how do you tell people there's an emergency? How do you tell people what to do during an emergency? So the role that audio plays within security is to give that mass communication, give instructions during an event, and to inform people on how to stay safe during an emergency, right? If you look at how people can communicate with a monitoring center, if it's video only, can they wave their arms around? Can they write down something on a sign and hold it up to the camera? Or with audio systems, can they just talk? Can they yell for help? Can they say, no, we're good here. It was a false alarm. Can they have some kind of verification that the alarm received or the information received over video is in fact what's happening? You don't get that if you can't have audio within your security system. So when you ask about the importance of audio, it's really a question of how well do you want your system to work? Do you want to just pick up information about what's happening? Do you want to see it happen and not be able to communicate with people that something's going on? Or do you want to use video as an indicator of an emergency and audio as a verification source and a way to communicate with people and keep them safe?
Wonderful. So how can integrators overcome any challenges or setbacks when providing audio for security projects?
Yeah, that's a great question. And because integrators in security have been doing video for 30 years, they've been doing access control for 20 years, 30 years as well. Audio is a little bit newer for them. And so they haven't developed that level of expertise with audio as they have with video or access control. So my recommendation for integrators using audio in these systems, or A&Es and consultants designing audio in their systems, is to trust the experts on this, right? AtlasIED has a fantastic design services team that will take the plans of a project, that will take the objective of a project, and help lay out what devices they need and where and why they're used in that way, right? So then an integrator can get back these plans and say, oh, I get it now. I need to use this kind of device here. And you have, again, 91 years of experience backing that design, right? So trust the experts. For integrators that want to become experts, AtlasIED conducts trainings throughout the year on our security line of products, our line of products used most frequently in security systems, so that they can get more hands-on with it. They can understand the design principles, the concepts behind why we use audio in certain ways, where we use it in certain ways, And so they can become experts in their own right.
I love how you framed that they become experts in their own way with the help of the expert of Atlas IED. So, are there any other factors that integrators need to keep in mind when they're outfitting emergency communication systems?
Certainly. When you look at emergency communication, think about what's important for audio there. It's the intelligibility, right? You can have a great sounding speaker that you would use in a concert venue or an amphitheater. It doesn't make sense necessarily for a security system. Yes, it needs to be clear and it needs to be understood. So if you think about an emergency environment, you're probably going to have a loud environment, right? People will yell and shout directions or yell what's happening or help or something, but it's going to be noisy. So you need to have devices that can clearly project and an audio signal over that high level of background noise, right? Also keep in mind that audio will behave differently than video will. Again, with most integrators being more familiar with video, the physics of it are just different, right? So when you're deciding on placement of audio devices, consider how it's going to sound in an emergency environment. If you have a 30-watt speaker in a tile hallway and people are already yelling and shouting and you have all kinds of reverb and now you're trying to broadcast emergency instructions, it's going to sound like Charlie Brown's teacher and no one's going to have any idea what to do, right? So consider the intelligibility of these different devices. Most importantly is that people can hear what the instructions are, hear the notification of what the emergency is, and that when they yell back, here's my situation, I need help with this person has a medical emergency or whatever it might be, that they can be understood, that their voice can be picked up in those sorts of environments. So again, placement of devices is really key, and choosing the right device for that environment is key. Again, all for the sake of intelligibility.
I think that's a wonderful way to explain it. I just thought of this question and I just wanted to ask you. It also, when you talked about intelligibility, I thought of accessibility too.
Mhm.
And I think audio is a great way to make emergency communications accessible. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, when you look at information and how information can be shared, again, with the history of the security industry being so camera dominant, right? You can't receive information from a camera system. There are ways that you can share information, but are they efficient? No. Are they efficient during an emergency? Absolutely not. So when you have that two-way audio capability to hear, to communicate better, the accessibility just by sharing information is so greatly improved.
Absolutely. So I think that pretty much wraps up what we were planning to talk about. But is there anything else that you would like to spotlight for our audience?
Yes, but I can't tell you until ISC West. So stay tuned. Take a look at AtlasIED.com as we get closer to ISC West. You're going to see a lot of exciting next generation audio products designed for security systems shown there. If you are heading to ISC West, plan on visiting our booth, reach out to us ahead of time. We'll happily give you a tour and a presentation, but it's just a little bit too early to spill the beans on what we have planned.
I'm sure all of our viewers and readers are looking forward to that, and I'm sure you'll have plenty of exciting announcements. I'm excited too. But again, thank you so much for joining us today, Cameron.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. Again, this is Amla Reddy from Commercial Integrator, and do check out our website, commercialintegrator.com, for our spotlight on emergency communications, as well as our January and February edition for the emergency communications deep dive. Thank you.